Hey everybody, this is Jim at SP500chart.com. It's about 4:15 on February 25th, 2014. Let me read this to you real quick, then we'll take a look at the chart. What I need to remind you is that the website and this video are for educational purposes only, and nothing stated at the site or in the video is intended to be used as investment advice. I can draw lines on charts, but you have to draw your own conclusions from your own research and make investment decisions that are suitable for your personal financial situation. And I am not a licensed financial professional. I'm just a guy who draws lines on charts. So let's take a look. Okay, we're looking at a 15-minute chart of the S&P, and basically the same thing stands that I mentioned yesterday, and that is I will be impressed with this when we get over 1860 and close over 1860. Until we do that, we could be facing the potential of a double top pattern, as opposed to seeing this inverted shoulder, head, and flipper pattern. And let me show you what the difference would be. If you go out to an hourly chart, you'll see that right here, well, let's do a 2-hour instead. What we could be looking at here, and I'm sticking with my predisposition here is this is a bullish pattern. But if it's not, we could be looking at a situation where we have a support level right around let's call it 1740. That if that gets taken out, then that would be a fairly significant potential signal that we would head down into the mid 1600s. And if we do that, we would, in all likelihood, in order to do that, we would have to take out some long-term support. So, as someone who's still willing to give this market the benefit of the doubt, I don't want to see that happen, but I feel obliged to let you know that we have this move over about let's just call it 1740. You see it here. And now we have another move up from 1740 to the mid-1800s. And if we cannot get that new leg established and up, and if we potentially come down to test this level right here, about 1740, then this could be a double top. And I'll remind you too, we were looking at the possibility of not an inverted, but a shoulder, head, and flipper pattern. There it is. There's our neckline. Shoulder, head, flipper. It actually broke down. But the way it broke down, you'll remember, kind of gave us pause that maybe we were going to see something else. Well, we are seeing something else, but I can't be too sure right now what it is we're seeing. So the way I'm looking at this is pretty simple. Is if we start coming down through some lines of support, then I would be on the lookout, and we got a bunch of them here, but I would be on the lookout to make sure 1740 is going to hold, because if it doesn't, like I said, we would be looking at a target from the height of this pattern of roughly 1630 to 1640. Okay, and that's a 210 points lower than what we are right now. Got to get that said. Okay. Sorry about that. My phone just rang, and where was I? Well, I think we were talking about the possibility of a double top. And that would be, of course, confirmed, I would say, if we come down and take out 1740. And let's just hope that is not the case, because there is still a very good possibility that we are looking at a bullish pattern here. Now, what happened today wasn't particularly helpful. And I want to show you why. I've drawn this little support line right here. and you can see we had a low set kind of early in the day, and then we closed very near that low at the end of the day today. So I'm going to just draw one little trend line right here, and that gives us maybe a little bit of an indicator before we might get to that 1860 level, that if we break this little line right here, then that could be our first signal, if you will, that we are going to head up and at least challenge this previous high that was set just under 1860. But I really want to see a close over 1860. I want this high to get beat, and to get beat by a decent amount before I'm willing to say with a decent level of confidence that our inverted pattern here is going to be pushing us into the 1900s. Now you might look at this low and say, well, what's going on? That looks kind of bad. Well, we closed a fraction underneath our neckline. We also closed underneath our all-time high line that was set some weeks back. But if we look at this chart also, you know, we could draw this little line right here across these two tops and say, well, it kind of makes sense to come back and test that line. So what I want to do is let's keep this line on the chart and this line on the chart, and at some point tomorrow, one of these guys will likely give us a clue as to what's going to happen. If it's to the downside and we break this line, we will probably get a clue as to what's going to happen in the short term. Okay, because I'm not willing to say that if we break this line, then look for the 1630s. I think that would be I don't think that would be wise. But if we break this line and then we continue to break lines of support, then we may need to look at that possibility. So I would not put a tremendous amount of importance on this trend line. I would put more importance actually on this little one right here, especially if we break up over it and we end up closing in the 1860s at some point this week. That would give me a really good sense about where we may be headed in the next probably 2 to 2.5 months. So guys, I think that's going to get it done for right now. It's not a real huge turn of events today by any stretch, but I really would have liked to have seen a close a little bit stronger than what we got. So let's see what the markets bring us tomorrow. Let's see if we can rally up over this line. Well, it would have to be tomorrow, because if we don't rally up over it tomorrow, then we're going to end up being underneath this one, at which point I would expect some selling pressure a little bit more significant than what we saw today. And one of the reasons why is that over the past 4 days, one interpretation of what we've seen here is a small head and shoulders right here. Left shoulder, head, right shoulder. So I'm thinking it's pretty important, fairly important for us to bounce tomorrow. Otherwise, I think we would be looking at a trip back down into the mid-1820s to at least test our previous low back here on the 20th. So I think that's it, guys, and let's see what happens tomorrow. Thank you for taking time out of your day to watch this. Thank you for your support. Let's keep an eye on those two lines. One of them's got to break tomorrow, and that will likely give us an indication of where we're headed in the short term, especially short term if it's to the downside. If we're to the upside, then I think we got potentially a little bit more longer term bullish outlook to consider. So anyway, thanks again. Take care.